Chris Dixon. How are you guys?
Great.
Excellent. Wow. Interesting offices, very Silicon Valley.
For New York.
Absolutely. I love this city. And
You can see the Empire State Building.
there you go. I'm not
We
going
actually
to.
get our internet through the Empire. We get it
From the
WiMAX.
Empire State Building.
So you have a WiMAX connection, Tower Stream.
Yeah, right there. Yeah, it's right
There
outside.
you go. I love those guys. I wrote about them once.
It's very cool.
So let's talk about Hunch. Caterina, one of the things which I was interested in knowing is that when you started Flickr, you were about a few years too early, when it came to Web 2.0 and all the social media and everything else is concerned. So from that perspective, is Hunch one of those kind of breakthrough, startups which is ahead of its time?
I think that what Flickr did, and one of the advantages that Flickr had was that there are a lot of things converging at the same time. So we started Flickr in 2004, and at the time, broadband had just been introduced into more than 50% of U.S. households. Digital cameras had suddenly started having camera phones on them. I think that was the first year, like 2003 was the first year that more than half of all camera phones shipped had digital cameras. There's all these like convergences. There's also this sort of psychological evolution of the web where blogging and kind of putting things online was no longer a weird solitary activity. Friendster had done everybody a big favor by introducing social networks, and all of these kinds of things were converging at the same time. And I think we're at a similar convergence with Hunch, and Hunch is benefiting from a bunch of different things that are also happening around the same time. And so some of those things include, now that Friendster and MySpace and Facebook and other social networks have been out for a sufficient amount of time, Wikipedia has also grown, to the extent that Wikipedia has, in 2009. People are familiar now with a couple things. They're familiar with putting social information online. I don't know how many people did that, 25 things that you didn't know about me thing on Facebook, but having these sorts of kind of social interactions, things are kind of like fun. You're telling software, something about yourself is something that people have become increasingly comfortable with, and it's at a similar point of evolution that blogging was circa 2004. Similarly, collective knowledge systems such as Wikipedia have kind of like gained respectability in many circles. I wouldn't say that Wikipedia is kind of canonical, but I think that people now understand the way collective knowledge sites are built, and user contributed content can actually be legit. So these are kind of like some of the things that are coming together, and there's also been an evolution in a great efflorescence, I guess you would say, of answer sites where people are now using the knowledge of other people to ask questions and then capitalizing upon them. And you'll see a lot of answer sites out there. There's Yahoo Answers is an obvious example. Mahalo Answers, Bark is another answer site. So what Hunch is doing is Hunch is actually taking these answer sites, these collective knowledge systems like Wikipedia, and combining them with a decision tree, which is kind of a remarkable thing that hasn't been done yet on any other answer sites, which accretes knowledge over time. So one of the benefits of collective knowledge sites like Wikipedia is that people make small additions to it, and the site gets better over time. It gets smarter over time. It learns things over time. The answer sites don't tend to do that. They tend to be kind of like what we call like a small read-write ratio. You ask a question, and maybe 5 people give you an answer, and then maybe a small number of people benefit from that. But over time, knowledge doesn't accrete on that site.
So Chris, you had started Site Advisor, which was kind of basically advising people on what sites not to visit, right? So how is this fit into your theory of the web, where the web is going? How is this an evolutionary step from that?
Yeah, I think this is pretty different than Site Advisor in the sense that, well, there's a lot of similarities. It's sort of everything we like to do is consumer facing, but also has a sort of a technology angle to it. SiteAdvisor, though, like in the Clay Christensen sense of the word, was not a disruptive innovation. It was sort of extension to existing security suites, and one that I think, was now, people think is kind of obvious, and is now in all of the security suites, they all have this feature. Actually, it was a feature something that bothered me, that it was sort of not disruptive. And when I say it's disruptive, what I mean is, like one of the key, Christensen says this in one of his books, one of the key things about disruptive technologies is that people always think they're a toy at first. And that's what they said. So when I used to work in venture capital, we invested in Series A of Skype, and everyone was saying Skype was a toy, right? And the famous story is the Telegraph, Western Union was saying, oh, the phone's a toy, it only goes a mile, whereas we can go across the sea, But of course, what these people who say things are a toy aren't seeing is that, this is Christensen's sort of famous thesis, right, is that the technology goes like this, whereas the sort of demand for technology doesn't go up. So the demand for sort of decision-making technology is going to be more or less flat, right? You want to find out what college to go to, you want to figure out what camera to buy. That's sort of like, people have sort of a set level of need for that. Our technology right now, sometimes, it varies by category. In some cases it's really good, in some cases it feels more like a toy, but over time that's going to go up, and that's what we think about. We think about how we can build a system such that it's always sort of getting better. And
so
does that make sense? Or?
Yeah, it does. So in a sense, you guys are saying that sooner or later, just the way things are going right now, there's too much information, too many things happening on the web, too many inputs, so the traditional paradigm of search and consume just doesn't work. We need a new kind of a consumption paradigm, right? Like, I guess.
Right. Well, I think that the reason that there's this explosion in answer sites is that it's the natural progression of data to information, right? And information is being organized by search engines, and then from information to knowledge, and the application of human intelligence to that information. And so what these systems are doing is they're applying human. That's why there's all these answer sites out there right now, and there's so much development in social search, and what Facebook is doing, and all of these things, applying human inputs and human intelligence to the problem of too much information.
So is there, going forward, like when you look at this thing, there's a lot of talk about Bing calling itself a decision engine. Yeah, maybe. Are we moving towards that future where everything, the information has to be discovered almost with serendipity? Do you think Hunch can become the powering engine for information, personalized information on the web going forward?
Are you talking about